In the final lesson of this class, we'll explore how to create setup sheets and tool lists so we can better communicate our programs to the machine operator who will be loading this onto the machine and running the part. Before we generate the setup sheet, let's just take a quick review as to what we're doing here in Setup 1. So the first thing we're doing is roughing out this part. Then we got a stock model. Then we're doing a dynamic OptiRest on it. Then another stock model, equal scallop. Yet again, another stock model. High-speed pencil, another stock model. And then we're going to do some cleanup here, some facing, some contours, some drilling, some peck drilling, more peck drilling, some tapping, and then finally, one last stock model. So this is what we're going to be using to generate a setup sheet. So just like with posting, you select the toolpaths you want to use, and then you simply right-click, and down here we can choose a setup sheet. And when the setup page appears, you'll notice that we have a section up top for general information. So here's where we can update some information that will be populated into the setup sheet. So as an example, we'll call this MCAM-U project. And under the customer, it'll be ABC Tooling. The programmer will be Keith B, that's me, and the drawing will be TK421, and we'll just call this revision 2, and under note we'll put down this is note 1. Now you'll notice here we have the option to generate images, and we're going to use images with color. The format will be a bitmap, and with the images we're going to look at the individual views relative to the operations WCS in isometric. And then we can adjust how we want to handle tool sorting, and we also have the ability to go in and add additional images. And these would in fact be screenshots. If you click here, they're going to go in and bring in another dialog that'll say, okay, this is image 1, or maybe this is the backside. So you'd change this to backside, then you'd click on the image to capture it, and so forth. We're not going to add any additional images. We're just going to choose all of the operation images. So let's click OK. And the setup sheet will now go through and take snapshots of all the different toolpaths. Now these setup sheets are completely customizable. And in fact, we have tutorials on that. But for now, understand that this is just a default setup sheet, so we can understand exactly what type of properties and settings we can have displayed in these setup sheets. Okay, so when the setup sheet appears, you can see we're in the Active Reports viewer, and it lists, for example, the machine we're using, and then general information. So this is what showed up when I typed in all of these pieces of information earlier. And then it shows an overall screenshot of the program with any comments, our stock with descriptions of our stock, and then it lists the operation list. So for example, this is operation 1. Here's the toolpath, and there's the tool. Operation 3, and the reason it's operation 3 and not operation 2 is because operation 2 is our stock model, right? So we don't have any G-code for that. So it goes right to operation 3. The comment is OptiRest. Here's what it looks like, and here's the tool. Okay, so you can customize this to have included really anything you want as far as the program goes. And it goes like this for every toolpath. And the last few, if you recall, were some drilling toolpaths. And then we get a tool list. And the tool list shows all the tools. And at the end, we get your work offsets. And here you can see we just have one work offset, and it's used by all of these operations. So this is a pretty effective way to communicate your G-code to someone else that might be running your program. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the ability to right-click and not choose a setup sheet, but just a tool list. And just like we saw before, it'll go through and generate that information. But in this case, it just lists a tool list. And these tools are the individual numbers. the names, the diameters, if you have assembly and a holder setup as well. So both the tool list and the setup sheet are used to communicate data from your Mastercam file to the operator so they can use that information and set up the machine accordingly. Well, this concludes the Mastercam Mill 3D course. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned some information from this course to get you a little more advanced with programming inside of Mastercam. Good luck to you all, and thank you very much for attending.